Hello, this is Emily. Welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be heavily inspired by the event that occurred on October 15th, 2022. If you guys are wondering what that event may be, it is the fact that UT finally beat a 15-year losing streak against Alabama and triumphed despite the odds. So in honor of that, in today's video, I am going to be sharing some books where the underdogs must persevere to come out on top. So let's hop right on into that video and get started. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Seabiscuit, the American Legend by Laura Hillenbrand. This was a high school read I read back, I believe, sophomore year of high school. And of course, this book is fitting for today's theme because, like UT, Seabiscuit was an underdog and wasn't expected to win. And this is basically a book about a horse who, raced and won the big three horse races. I can't think of them off the top of my head because it's been so long since I read this book. It's been over a decade. But basically we're following Seabiscuit's story and his handlers and all that leading up to winning the Kentucky Derby and all the derbies. So this is definitely a great read. I did enjoy it in high school, which is one of the few actual required high school books that I enjoyed reading, because a lot of those I did not care much for because I thought they were kind of dull. But this one was actually pretty entertaining, and I found myself intrigued from beginning to end while reading it. So I would definitely recommend this one. The next book I'm going to talk about is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This book is set in a dystopian society where people with supernatural abilities have pretty much taken over society. And people think that, with them being granted these abilities, they would be fighting for the greater good. However, for some reason, those that are granted with abilities end up having their minds warped and become more selfish and thinking about themselves and how they're the best and all that. Well, here we're following a group of people that don't have abilities called the Reckoners, and basically they have set out to take down Steelheart, who is currently the overlord, I guess if you want to say it that way, of Chicago. And these people with these abilities called the Extraordinaries are pretty much near invincible and immortal and all that. So the Reckoners are basically the underdogs in the story, working to fight for the greater good and try to dismantle the world because people are pretty much just bowing down to these Extraordinaries because there's no way to stop them. So this was a really great read. I did enjoy it, and I would definitely recommend if you're looking for a underdog story where you are rooting for those to come out and persevere despite the odds stacked against them. Of course, I had to throw a manga series in, and that's Haikyuu, which is a sports manga following this high school volleyball team that at one point they were at the top of their game and ended up going to nationals, but over the years their team has kind of just gone downhill, and so now we are starting over with these freshmen who joined the team, and they are working to help build the team back up and kind of the program back up itself. So this was a very enjoyable series. I've watched pretty much the whole anime that's been released, and now I'm reading the manga adaptations. So I pretty much know what's going to happen, though I haven't caught up to it in the manga yet because this is a pretty extensive series. But basically we are following this team and on their journey to returning to nationals, which they haven't done in almost a decade. So great underdog story. You are rooting for them. And also I really enjoy that we get backstory not only on these guys but also on their opponents too. So it's not just, one-sided on why they want to win. We're also seeing the other side stories too and what has led them up to joining volleyball and all that. But great, enjoyable series. And of course, I am definitely rooting for the Crows. So this next series is incomplete. There's only about 5 volumes out so far. However, I felt it was fitting for this underdog trope because we are following Nicholas, who is the illegitimate son of this world-renowned fencer and fencing coach. And basically, he dreams of going to competition and getting in the ring to prove himself to his dad, who kind of just pushed him aside, acts like he doesn't exist. And so he ends up getting accepted into King's Row, which is a fencing school, and he has to fight to get a spot on the team. And then we kind of are following his journey as he improves in fencing and working towards his goal of being able to compete and prove himself. So we haven't got too far in this series so far. I believe volume 5, we ended up on a training arc with another school. So we're still building up to the big climax. However, I felt this was a fitting story to include because I am rooting for Nicholas to succeed and prove himself, and I hope he does achieve his goals and dreams. So the final book I'm going to talk about is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. And basically, this is a fantasy series. I believe there were 6 books in total, plus there's 2 prequels that are released. And we are following Kellen, who is a Gen Tep, and he is about to compete in the mage trials to become a mage. Unfortunately, he can't spark his magic, and his magic is not coming like it should. Yet his sister is like a prodigy and all that. And before the trials, he ends up getting exiled and stuff. And so the premise of the rest of the series is basically him on the run from the Jan Teps, his like fellow family and stuff, who are out to get him. And I found myself rooting for Kellen throughout the whole story because despite his lack of magical abilities, he was fighting for his life using trickery and like his intuitive thinking in order to come out on top and survive. And that's why I felt like he was a true underdog in this series and overcome all the challenges he faced throughout the whole story. So that's why I included this, and this is probably a really great fantasy read. I would definitely recommend it because I enjoyed it from beginning to end. And I am currently working on the prequels right now, and those are just as great as the original series, so definitely recommend. Well, I guess that's the end of this video. It was kind of an impromptu idea thrown together. So these were like the books that were kind of top of my mind when I thought of underdogs. However, they are all great and enjoyable reads and books I do highly recommend. So hopefully you guys can find a new read from these suggestions. And I guess I will see you guys in my next video. That's all for today, and thanks for watching.